Everything you see here is strictly informational. Forex is a high-risk business. Please do not place trades with more money than what you don't have. Please do not trade other people's money. Do not borrow any money than what you cannot trade with. And please take everything that I say as a personal opinion. I am not considered a financial advisor. I'm not considered a broker. I am just one here simply recording my journey along learning the markets.
Alright, guys. What is up? I actually wanted to do a video about mistakes that we make, especially as, maybe if you're a beginner trader like me, maybe you're a good trader and you still make mistakes. I wanted to go through and basically highlight mistakes that we make and how to correct them as traders. The reason I want to do this is because I basically made all of them this week. Every mistake I think I could make, I made them. But there was one thing that saved me. Actually, probably two things that saved me, but one thing that saved me from all of this, from actually not putting myself in a really bad position in trading. To be honest, it actually made it a very, very good position. But that being said, I made a lot of mistakes. And one of the reasons I'm trading is because I feel like I'm behind in life. I'm one of these people that I take this seriously, and I feel, when I went through life, I graduated college late, and I got, didn't get I had good jobs like, most of my life, but at a recent point, I had to do a reset in life, and since I had to do a reset in life, I'm nowhere close to retirement, and I'm at an age where I'm at, that's probably something I should be probably halfway to by now. If I really wanted to be there, I could probably be halfway there. So trading is something I take seriously because I want to build toward getting toward that retirement. I want to build towards something where I don't have to work for another 40 years before I can say, bye-bye work, So this is something I take seriously. So sharing these mistakes is something that I realized I made this week. Is something I want to share with you guys because it's I feel like if you're new, you probably didn't know. If you're old, if you've been around for a while, maybe you don't realize it and you're still like having some of these mistakes. But I just wanted to kind of share some of it with you. And the first one is you can't will the market. You can't do what you think the market wants you to do, and I'll go through real life examples of this because I kind of want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we will go to the euro, because the euro is what I had been looking at pretty much all week. So as we started this week, right, I'm thinking it's gonna go up here. See this green box I have up here, and all my sell limits I have up here. This is where I'm thinking it's gonna go, right? And I could of all these, bearish order blocks that are just sitting right here, just waiting for it to enter. And especially this one here, like if it gets this high, it's just gonna drop. So as we start this week, as on the 2-week uptrend, I'm thinking, it may swing down a little bit and then go back up. And I kept thinking that the entire week. So I kept making excuses to buy and ignoring all of the signs that were showing me sell. So, and I was trying to will the market. Like I said, I was trying to will it to do what I wanted it to do. I did catch some breaks, because that would be one of the number two, and another thing I was going to bring up is, make sure that when you do get into a trade, make sure you have an exit plan, especially if it's not going your way. Because if it's not going your way and you don't have an exit plan, then what do you have, right? If you see it, start turning gears, and yeah, you don't have a good gut feeling about it. What do? Do you slowly, chop off some of your, what you got until you see, if you think it's going to make a turnaround point? Do you jump out immediately? Kind of have, a plan in place, in case, you do see a trade start to go wrong. In my case, I held the entire time, until it hit my stop loss, and that was probably not the right thing to do. So, and that's why I bring it up, is because I should have had a plan. I should have probably shaved off, took a little bit of losses until, I realized, because then, if it would have taken off, I may have taken some losses, but then again, it would have actually, if it would have taken off, I probably could have made a little bit, or, something of that nature. Instead, I just let all of what I had put into that trade, go to the stop loss. So, that's one of the things. Also, if you learn something new, it's another mistake that I had made. If you learn something new, don't think you're an expert on it already. And the reason I say this is because I learned something really cool. I learned something really cool, and I could have caught CAD at an earlier move. So I want to go to USD CAD really quick and show you something. So I learned that, basically there's kind of like a, especially if you do your research, I found like this weekly order block, and I was like, okay, it's getting near it. And then, so if it gets near it, it's probably once it gets inside of it, it's going to make a move. And then, it can buy from there. I also drew a fib, and it was getting, it actually touched the 62%. And I didn't wait long enough, instead well, this is one of the positions that I had. I jumped in early, right? But what I had learned is that, there are different, there's levels, in basically baked into the charts, right? They're the 200 level, the 500 level, the 800 level, and the 0 level. Those levels are baked into the charts as basically kind of support and resistance no matter what. So what I found out, especially after it had happened, was that, so this was on, the 13th, is that, I could draw a fib from the 800 level. Let me make sure it's at the 800 level here. Exactly at the 800 level, to the nearest high. Let me get in here on a 15-minute chart so we can see a little bit more defined. If I draw that from the 800 level to the nearest swing high, it would have came down and it would have hit the exact entry I would have wanted. It would have hit the 70.5, and I would have entered from there, and I could have hit the US CAD at exactly where it was supposed to be because of that hidden, these hidden support levels, right? And so whenever I found this out, I was trying to use it on the euro, right? I was trying to use it on the euro, and I can even show you. Let me go to right here. This is let me redo this, because I would this goes back to willing the market to what you want it to do. I was trying to will the market so bad that I thought that the 500 level was this hidden support level, and I was like, oh yeah, so finally, the euro comes up, and I'm wanting to will the euro to come up so bad because of my original idea, that I thought I was going to be at 85, 8600, something like that before it actually dropped. I'm thinking here is that 7,500 level. It's at that baked in support level that it's going to move up from here. Ignoring all the signs through here, and ignoring the this right here, the breaker, or if anything, it would have came up and hit the breaker and it would have fell. Ignoring all, the signs that this was a bearish market. And as you can see, if you press play, it wasn't support, so there went that idea that I'm going to go along because I thought that this baked in level was support. So, don't, just because you learn something new, don't think that you're an expert on it. That's my other, point I wanted to make. And, let's see here. What else do I have written down to tell you guys? Oh yeah, one of the things I also did was, especially whenever you do lose a trade, lower your risk each time that you lose. So I was, of course, risking, a certain amount. I generally risk 2%. So when I did lose, I dropped it down to 1.5. The next time I got lost again because I was trying to will the market, upwards, so I kept dropping it down, and eventually, especially with Euro USD, I was so focused on that, and I kept losing all these trades. I didn't have a whole lot, but I was losing these trades, and I had to take a break, and I had to go to GBP USD and look at that because I didn't have such a bias on that one. But even then, I still was thinking it would do the same thing. But so I put at least 2% on that, lost a trade, again, went down, and it was probably 3 or 4 trades I didn't make this week on Euro USD and GBP both. And I just, they didn't work out. And one of the things is because, I was trying to predict price rather than react to it. And so here's another one I want to show you. And it was an idea I threw out there, that, here's all these here's another one that was, I wanted to will the market. So, this was after the 500, the 7.500 thing. It had dropped from that point, from the euro, and I had made another trade thinking that this was the low point, right? It had already dropped below the 7.500 level that I thought was going to be the or maybe this was the 7.500 level, and I thought it was going to move up from here. But then, as you can see, it just drops off. So, again, as I kept making these trades, I kept, lowering my risk is what I'm trying to say. Lower your risk each time that you make a trade. And the thing is that I could have prevented all this if I had just trusted my gut from the very beginning. So I called this last Friday, and I wanted to sell, and I even said Euro USD selling breaker for pullback, hold over for the weekend, because I saw the breaker over here. You can see it. I have a big arrow pointing toward it. I have a big line running across saying this is the breaker. This is where it's going to sell. But I thought it was just going to pull back here and go up higher. And if you hit play, watch what happens. It sells. It actually hits exactly where I thought it was going to as far as pulling back, but it doesn't get up to where I thought it was going to go. So and that was another point I wanted to make, is that if you do make a call, keep trusting it until you can find a reason not to. So that's another point I want to make. If you make a call, go with it until you have a reason not to go with it anymore, and until you have a reason to try to figure out an exit plan. If it's going your way, why not? Why would you want to get out of the trade? But instead, what I did is I traded this last Friday, and I'd put too short of a stop loss on it, and it stopped me out, and it was only like 3 pips or something like that. It was something ridiculously low, 4 pips. As you can see there, 4 pips. And so it stopped me out, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. I was like, it's going to go down. I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the retracement, and then I'll sell it after that. So I was trying to predict price. I was trying to force my will on the market without reading the price action ahead of time and realizing what was actually going to happen. Whenever I could have just prevented all of this, and actually, whenever I saw the sign, the actual sign to sell, and just go with it until I had no reason not to go with it anymore. Because what I did is I caught this. This I did catch. That's the reason I have all these in here, is because I caught this. Right, I caught this whenever it started to go up. I showed last week the entry. I put the entry on one of my videos. I took a screenshot of it. I put it up there. I said, yes, I did catch this entry. I actually caught the one in the middle of the night in London too. So I caught 2 entries on this because I knew it was going to go up higher, because I saw these equals highs. I saw these equal highs, and I knew the market was going to go up higher. So, and plus I had this blocked up here, so I'm thinking the entire time I'm catching this ride the whole way up. And so I let go of the trade. I want to say sometime in that morning, because I didn't know how far back it would pull back. So I even though it shows all of this, I actually let go of the trade where that pink line is where I let go of the trade, because I thought it would pull back a little, maybe too far. I don't know. I thought maybe pull back to here. Even though I should have held on to it, because I thought it was going to go higher. I don't know why, but I just let go of the trade. I wanted to sell this, and I did. I just didn't leave enough of a stop loss on it. And like I said, if this is the trade you want to make, trust it until there's no reason to trust it anymore. Because if I had actually made this trade and held over the weekend, like the headline asks, hold over the weekend, yes, I should have held over the weekend, because I would have held it for the entire time, or the entire week, until I came across, I came around to an idea to get rid of it. So, and the last thing I think I have wrote down is spend more time on higher time frames. Definitely spend more time on higher time frames. And one of the reasons I say that is because, let me go back to Euro USD. Whenever this was trading up, I had this drawn out. I actually did catch the top of this, or I caught a buy near the order block. I thought it was going to get dipped down into it. Once it started to kind of pull away, I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy just in case it does pull down. I'll just set a stop loss really, really low, because I'm not going to try to let this move get away from me. So I did buy. And then, it was kind of moving weird, and I put this on a higher time frame, and then I saw these 2 candles on MT4. They look different. They look completely different. They look more solid. So on MT4, I'm like, those are order blocks. I'm like, this thing is gonna sell as soon as it, hits those order blocks. So luckily, I was able to get rid of it. It had already bounced. It had already bounced and went down. And then that's when I looked at it. I was like, why did that bounce? And that's when I looked over, and I noticed that they were order blocks. So I got out of the trade. If we go down to 15-minute, I got out of the trade. I want to say, here, if we can zoom in on this. I got out of the trade probably somewhere right here. and I actually sold right there too. So I got out of the trade right around this area here. Yeah, I turned around and sold as well, and I did sell, and I let it go. I think I forgot what, because I pulled a fib, and the fib was here to here, right? And then because once I sold, I realized it was going to pull back, and it did. It pulled back right into the area where I should have actually sold, which would have been right in here. And I used the 27 and the 62 as my exits. So even though I sold here, I still, dropped that guy. I got rid of one what do you say? I dropped my take profit. That's what I'm trying to think of. I took one take profit here. I was going as it was going down. Took another take profit that was going down in the same 15 minutes, and then as it just kind of dwindled off. Well, actually, I took my third take. There it is. It's at the one. It's at the turn. So I took my third take profit at the turn. And I wasn't even thinking. I probably should have been aiming for these lows. But I actually did make a good move at the end of this week that kind of saved me. But what really saved me was actually my call that I made on USD CAD. So as you can see, I made this call on October 12th, and which was what, Monday? Was that Monday? I can't think of what day it was. What day was the 12th? I have to look it up on the calendar here. October 12th. It was Monday. So I pull a fib, and we got the weekly order block, and I entered. Well, actually, I'll show you my entry. So my entry to USD CAD. There it is. 31339. I don't think it's what this chart says, but I'll go back to the actual chart. But this is what saved me. Well, let me go back to that again, because as you can see, my exit, I think profit is 32,400. I entered at 31339. All right, so. So, oh yeah, I need to transition back. Sorry. So as you can see, this one, did really well. I wanted to see it get above these highs. This is, this is 3,400. This isn't that 3,200 that I said, or whatever I put in there. 3240, I think is what I put. I forgot what I put. Anyway, I'll show you in just a second, because we're going to actually go to the USD CAD, and this is the actual trade, or this is the actual position that I took. So there's that 3133, whatever it was, 31339. That was my entry, right? 32,400. That was what I put in as a profit level, and my stop level was 3086. So this is the actual trade that I just showed you that I took. That I just showed you that was on my MT4, 106 pips. So this is what really saved me. So even though I was actually going against the US dollar the entire week, well, because USD CAD was also doing this the entire week, it was going up and down and up and down. I was thinking, Euro USD and GBP USD was also going to, because it was dipping down lower, and I was thinking, well, since it's going down lower, Euro USD is going to be going up higher. But as sometimes they all have inverse relationships. Sometimes whenever one goes 1 pip, one way, whenever the dollar goes, it barely goes with it, and then like the dollar will drop, and then all of a sudden the Euro USD will fly up or something like that, So I was thinking one of those things was going to happen, with it, and that's how I was going to catch that. That's how I was going to will my way to getting the Euro USD up that high. So As you can see, those are definitely the mistakes that I had made this week, and I wanted to share those mistakes with you, and I hope that you learn from them just as much as I did, or hope you can learn something from what I am saying, as much as I definitely have learned from them, because it definitely put me on a different path, and it's put me on a different perspective going into this week. I'm definitely going to be looking at things a lot differently. I'm not going to try to. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me there. I'm definitely not going to try to impose my will on the market. I will continue to, if I lose a trade, I'll, continue to cut back on, the percentage of, how much I'm putting into that, because you're also cutting into your trade balance. So of course, the most logical thing is to cut back on how much you're risking. Even though I was gaining at the same time somewhat, I didn't gain up until like the last couple days, when I was very bad earlier in the week. That was for sure. It was very bad earlier in the week. I didn't know if I was going to make it, but the end of the week I ended up pulling out fairly strong, and that was the good thing. So, but I did make a lot of mistakes, and it took me a while to realize them, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. So again, I'll be doing some analysis soon, today, tomorrow, I'm not for sure. I still need to learn a little bit more. Got some videos to watch. I'm still learning from a particular trader, some ICT. If you don't know who that is, definitely check him out. He's definitely one of probably if not the best person that has free content on YouTube. Inner Circle Trader. The guy is like, he basically, he can see the future. He can't predict all prices, but he can read price action like nobody's business. So here, let me get all that. So thank you again for watching, and if you do like my videos, go ahead and hit subscribe. If anything, more than anything, if you can, hit a like button. That way it'll people will scroll through and they see that there's been people that like my video, they're more inclined to click on it, get something out of it. But I've been trading since May, and I've been hoping this is going to be something that's going to change my life, and I'm slowly learning. To be honest, if I would have had my druthers, I wouldn't have put so much money in the beginning, and I would have probably been a lot more into paper trading. But now I'm starting to slowly be a little bit more consistent. And I'm starting to see better results. But one thing you have to do is you have to realize your mistakes, and you have to learn from them. And that's what I'm coming out with this video for, for traders that maybe new, and have been trading, and this is what you got to do. You definitely got to take. Don't take all this for granted. Make sure that you're learning from your mistakes. Make sure you're journaling correctly. Make sure that you do have a trading plan. That's one thing I actually still don't have. I mean, I have it in my head, but I don't have it all written down. I mean, I have pretty concise rules that I'm trying to go by, but they definitely kind of fell apart this week. And since I don't have that wrote down, that's also another thing I need to actually make sure I focus on, and make sure I get an actual trading plan written down. Make sure I know it by heart. That way I don't continue to make mistakes. But anyways, thanks again for watching. I'll be coming out with some analysis soon, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. And remember to always wear your pants.